Technology solutions that we are implementing have proven themselves to be very robust. If you look at the new Smart ID card, we've issued over 1.2 million cards since we launched the project in 2013. We are confident that we will meet our target of between 1.3 and 1.5 million people by the end of this financial year, going into the next financial years. This means that our technology solutions, as I say, are robust and foolproof. There is a country, much more developed country, their Smart ID card was hacked on the very first day of issue, which forced them to withdraw it to abandon the entire project. That has not been the case with us. And the only challenge in this regard is that we still have to clean up the National Population Register. But to undertake that and integrate the National Population Register, our Home Affairs National Identification System, as well as the National Immigration Identification System into a single integrated national identity system is going to be a very important program for us, which will enable the department to flush out of the NPR all those who don't deserve to be there, who hold fraudulent South African citizenship, and then to allow us going forward to implement a much more credible system so that South Africans do not continue having the concerns they've had about who is South African and how people access our cards. You touched on a very interesting issue of working hours. How do you plan to implement this as a ministry? You know, the department, starting a few years ago, started implementing working hours even on Saturdays. But what we have noticed is that our working hours are not customer-centric. The whole focus of the department is changing towards customer centricity. We want to focus on what is best for our customers. And that is why we've introduced the new working hours, so that officials of the department start early at 7:30 to do their paperwork, and we open our offices at 8 to allow those who want to come right until 4 to be able to access our offices. And when we close down the offices at 4, we will allow the officials of the department to complete their paperwork for the day and prepare for the following day for about 30 minutes thereafter. We will continue opening on Saturdays between 8 and 1 p.m. so that those who are working during the day can access our offices during the weekends. We've negotiated this with the unions. We have agreed, and that is why we've then announced it and are starting to implement it. As I say, the critical focus for us is what is in the best interest of our customers. It's not what is in the best convenience of our officials. The issue of the population register, the feeling among your ordinary South Africans on the ground is that government is not in control of the number of people who flocked into this country illegally. What would be the best message that we would want to convey as the ministry to say to the people on the ground that we are in control? The feeling, I think, is a bit misplaced. But also, I understand it. It's informed by our recent experiences in the last few years, where in some instances our borderline has collapsed. People can enter South Africa either crossing rivers or through game reserves and in other ways. But we are taking steps. Government recently announced the process to establish an integrated border management agency under the auspices of the Department of Home Affairs. We also have transferred the BCOCC, which is the Border Control Coordinating Committee, into the Department of Home Affairs. We've integrated that service. We've got the staff of the South African Revenue who have now been transferred to Home Affairs, who are assisting us with the border coordination work in order to integrate our programs in terms of border management. We are going to be launching a pilot project of integrated border management service so that we improve our borderline management. And we are undertaking discussions with the National Treasury in order to revitalize the physical infrastructure at our ports of entry. I want to emphasize, though, that notwithstanding, it is not a panacea for all our undocumented and irregular migration in South Africa. We will continue having the phenomenon of irregular migrants. It is how we manage that process in partnership with our SADC neighbors, as well as we will reduce it by strengthening our borderline, ensuring that we have sufficient and robust systems around our borderline in order to reduce the volumes of undocumented and irregular migrants who are coming into the country.
What do the audits look like of those who entered illegally and those who entered here legally?
At the present moment, there are many figures which are being punted around about how many undocumented migrants there are in South Africa. In some instances, they are being punted just for sensation. In some instances, they are, grossly understated. The department doesn't want to engage itself in that type of guesswork and sensationalism. We are focusing on ensuring that we continue implementing the Immigration Act in terms of deportations. We expedite the establishment of the Border Management Agency, which will greatly assist us in stemming the tide of irregular migration into South Africa. And we are continuing with our efforts to revitalize the physical infrastructure at our ports of entry, particularly the biggest ports of entry, Beitbridge, Libombo, Oshhoek, Kopfontein, Maseru, Fixbeck, and others, so that we can ensure that people from the region enter South Africa regularly. But I want to also emphasize this. The overwhelming majority of the people from the SADC region enter South Africa through regular means, possessing documents from their countries which enable them to travel into and out of the country. They make a positive economic contribution into our country through the goods that they purchase in our country as well as the services.
The perception that people on the ground have about government and the perception that government have about people on the ground go chicken jowl. What is the message that would want to put across if you look at where we come from recently, the attacks in Soweto on foreign nationals?
I think first and foremost, to address the question of the perceptions about each other, the department is in the process of a comprehensive review of the immigration policy framework. And one of the things that we are embedding in our immigration policy framework is the concept of management, which means that, amongst others, the Department of Home Affairs can't manage immigration alone. Government can't manage immigration alone. National government can't manage immigration alone. It needs the different tiers of government, provincial and municipal, to also partake. But also, one of the underpinnings of the concept of management is that we need South Africa to work with us in managing international migration and harness its positive impact towards the development, the socio-economic development of South Africa, and to enhance our national security. And that is why it's so important that going forward, we increase our engagement and interaction with members of different communities, including immigrant communities, in managing international migration, so that we can reduce drastically the misconceptions there are about international migration and even the attacks on foreign nationals. I would like to appeal to South Africans not to take the law into their own hands and not to be hoodwinked, to be fooled by criminals who want to loot and jump on the bandwagon of genuine grievances to commit crime. We need to leave it to government to continue to do what it can do best as the final authority in terms of policing and the management of South Africa's immigration processes and policies.